Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Skillet coming to you from X4 Foundations, and we are going to restart a series, how to start things to know for beginners. So if you're new to the game, you've never played before, or you picked it up once and you played it but it was too hard, and now you're picking it up again because of timelines and everything going on with the game, here's a good place to start. Now, this first episode is not going to go into the game itself, but where you should start and picking up in that start. Now, you might ask, Skillet, well, where should I start? Well, you know what? A good place would be the tutorials, or as some of us like to call it, the tutorial. If you know where that little gem comes from, I'd love to find out. But the tutorials are here to give you, are here to give you a good understanding of controls, mechanics, small things that you're going to find yourself introduced into the game in different starts and different ways. So if you do start in a guided start, you will get some of this. You won't get all of it all the time. And if you start into timelines is a great place for you to start your X4 experience. Now, there are going to be a whole lot of things you don't understand in timelines, and it's fine. It's not meant for you to understand everything in timelines, but get a good grasp on controls, on navigation, on the game. Right? Past the tutorials, timelines is probably the place to start. But you might say, well, Skillet, I don't want to get timelines. It might have bad reviews or whatnot. Most people are like, oh, it's not hand-holdy. It's not meant to be hand-holdy. It's a little snippet of the universe to get your feet wet, to make sure that you know what you're kind of doing a little bit. Just a little bit. Because if you have played the game, or if you played X3 or X2 or whatnot, I'm sure, my experience started with X3, where you get thrown in to the wolves and you sink or swim. And that's what this game was in the beginning when it first came out. It's not so much like that anymore. Do the tutorials. Do timelines. And if you don't want to get timelines, then where you're going to start, hopefully, is you're going to start with either Emergence or Terran Cadet. I will say, I do believe Emergence holds your hand and fits in most of the tutorials, where Terran Cadet doesn't. Now, there are a number of guided starts. Emergence and Terran Cadet are starred because they are two of the best, which is true, hands down. I think Emergence is better, but you're going to find other creators that'll tell you Terran Cadet. The Terran economy is a lot more simpler than it is in the Commonwealth, but it's really up to you how you want to choose it. And what if you say, you know what, Skillet, I want to forego hand-holding. I want to jump into the deep end. There's plenty of starts for that. Smuggler's Paradise, Stranded, which are somewhat semi-guided starts. Fires of Defeat, Spear of the Patriarchy, not really guided starts. And they are a little bit of a harder start. So if you're new to the game, that might not be where you want to be. But you also have the foundation starts. Now, all of the foundation starts aren't going to be there, especially if you're brand new to the game. Neither's Queen's Herald. You have to get to a certain point in the story for the Boron to actually open up Queen's Herald. But in the foundation starts, you should start with Wayward Scion, Young Gun, and I believe it is Untested Explorer. I may be wrong. I haven't, restarted all the content, I guess. But there are going to be some that aren't going to be there. You have to find the player HQ before those populate, or you have to go into a certain sector. So I think Dedicated Warrior is will pop up after you get to like the Paranid, I believe. I could be wrong. But these are different starts that you could do. Now, if you want to jump into the deep end, most people do the Young Gun, or that's been the traditional route of starting a new game, is Young Gun. Puts you in a crappy little dinger of a ship, and, you know, sets you off, do whatever you like to do. Now, I'm going to tell you, Wayward Scion might just be a tad better in that, because you get a slightly better ship, arguably, puts you roughly in the same sphere of danger and trouble, but you can actually make a name for yourself, I think, a little faster there in case you don't want to, you know, aggravate any of the other factions. So with that all being said, let's actually step into Wayward Scion. Let's go through some things to start, right?
In the settlements of the Reach, a peculiar sort of nobility holds sway, one characterized by a rather sedentary nature. Consequently, it's not uncommon for descendants of notable families, particularly those lacking immediate inheritance prospects, to seek out adventure and renown elsewhere. Upon their return, laden with treasures and tales from across the cosmos, they're embraced by their families once more, despite some disappointment regarding their initial departure. Dear Mother and Father, I hope this message finds you well. It has now been precisely 2 months since I left. I regret leaving without saying goodbye, but it just seemed easier. I've been working here in Hatikva's Choice, and some interesting trade propositions have come up with a group that call themselves the Hatikva Free League, so I'll set a course for Winds of Fortune. I'll let you know how that goes.
All right, so you make it to your station and you get greeted by your ship. Now, at one point, we will be interrupted by an incoming transmission. And I'm going to take this moment to apologize. I know my voice might sound a little raspy or hoarse. I'm coming off a sickness, which, you know, put a delay in this video. Other than I didn't find any that I thought I could ever watch myself. But here we are, and here it is.
Pilot, if you are hearing this independent pirate broadcast, you have been invited to join the Hatikva Free League's trade revolution. Do you want to help create a truly independent safe haven? Work towards peace and stability for all peoples? Then we need you. Do not hesitate. Check your mission offers to join the cause.
Perfect. That puts you in line to do the Hatikva storyline. Puts you in a place to help get you the player HQ and gets you Dalbusta, which is a important character later down the road that you meet. So to get to that, of course, you go to your lovely menu here. If you haven't played the tutorials, I'm looking at you. I know you haven't done it. You know who I'm talking to. But you're going to go over to here, and then it will guide you to where you want to go. And this is your known universe, with Scion or Wayward Scion. Let's see what we got in the bank. We've got 10,000. We have a Nova, which is this in front of you, which is arguably better than the Elite. And you might say, well, how do we make money? Well, you could start doing missions. You can find missions on stations. You can get crystals. But what you can really do is you can sit here. Now, if you've played the game before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But right here is a big combat zone. But before we get into it, let's try to make some quick cash.
Vanguard.
Gotta get in the menu, get rid of that. Let's see, what can we do here? We don't need the nav beacons. We'll keep the resource probes. The satellites are fine. We will take a docking computer, though. We'll have to spend 1,500. It is worth it. Okay, let's do that. Spend 1,500. Wait the 2 seconds. And now let's undock. It's going to point us in the direction of our current mission or objective. So we can go out this way, and before we actually leave, let's talk about something that you should automatically do right now, and that is keybind. Now, the two things that I think you should keybind are going to be... Oh, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Settings... Controls, general keybinds. We are a mouse and keyboard because why not? I haven't used a joystick with this or a HOTAS setup in a very, very long time. Now there is a wheel, an option wheel. I have never used it. I am very kind of set in my way of how I do things from the original game before 7.0, before the wheel came about. So you can drop things on your option wheel. But one of the things, or two of the things, the two important things that I think you should do is deploy mine, deploy laser tower, and deploy, well, okay, three things. Sorry, I lied. Deploy satellite, oh, I guess, you know what? I've got that too. I don't even know what button that is. Mouse axis up. What does that mean? I don't remember setting that one. I don't ever use that one. But deploy satellite, deploy mine, deploy laser tower. Now, important information to know is mines do not work when you are out of sector. So if you deploy a minefield and you leave that sector, don't worry about them. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to blow anybody up or whatever. While you're in that same sector, yes, they do work. But what will help you out in dogfights is going to be the laser towers, which will help distract the enemy and allow you to hopefully get out of the danger zone and re-engage. The second thing is satellites. Satellites give you information. They don't only just give you they just don't take away the fog of war, but they give you information on trade. Do we even have any satellites? No. So here, boom, we now have a satellite. So now we have information about trading for this station here. So we can tell, well, we don't have the trade extension for the ship, but we can tell what wares are bought here for what price. We have what wares are here.
Requesting permission to dock.
Docking permission granted.
And we can really go about our, what is this?
Argon Station security vessel.
Oh, this station is in cahoots with that station. You can tell by these lovely blue dots. Those are civilian craft. That's a police vessel, I think. You might say, well, Skillet, how'd you just do that? Well, Shift H. If you want to get everything away, Control H. Look at that. This is specifically good for looking for crystals, which you are going to see glimmers of on asteroids. I'm trying to look for one. Let's look over here. Now, you might see it, and I just might miss it. I'll probably see it when I go through the editing and go, Skillet, what are you doing? It's right there. But crystals are a way that you can get easy cash. You could do it with the basic weapons that you have, and you could do it with a mining laser, which is arguably an easier way to do it. But now, you can fly around, get your bearings, learn how some things work, fly to stations. And if you're like, well, Skillet, I've done that, you know, but how do I pick up missions? Now, missions are great because missions can give you rep, but more importantly, they give you money. Now, there are a number of different missions that you can pick up. Now, if we look, let's actually get out of here. We have our main mission, which is going to be under the check mark. And then you have this other exclamation point for missions that you can find off stations. There's somebody important now at this station. But you can also go around with your scan mode, Shift 2, by the way. Again, looking at you, I know you didn't do a tutorial. Yeah. And what you're going to want to hear is little static bits. I thought that may have been that ship. I was just, taking off. Let's actually find one if we can. And you can also see little sparks from time to time. Oh, that might have been one over there. Oh, I heard it. Well, we also heard something else.
Tour bus A.
Docking permission.
This guy is a bad civilian. I know, sometimes they're bad eggs, don't worry. But what you want to do with these guys
Let ask you to show mercy.
is destroy them. Pick up any goodies that you can find. Now let's go over here. Now here at the bottom of the screen, you can see that. That is a breach. You can see how that changed. And we can move over to it. Scan mode's going to be your best friend doing this. And there you go. We have just got a commission unlock for trading. I think. I'm actually not sure how the commissions really work. I've never took advantage of them. If somebody knows, leave it in a comment. But that's how you can start a game. Now, in the next video, we are going to go over some other things that you can do. Other things that are going to be maybe a little more exciting. Maybe we'll actually find a mission. But this is going to be Skillet signing out for now. I do hope you guys stick with this series. We're going to reintroduce a lot of things and do it in a slightly different way. But you guys have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you watch.